Hello everyone, welcome to another Friday Closeout. Gained a little weight today. Actually, I went out with one of my units to do PT today, and they were doing an IOTV run, a body armor run, if you're not familiar with the lingo. So an IOTV is this hefty vest that we put on with plates in it, and trying to run around in this thing, it's a little bit awkward. But it got me to thinking, especially after what I talked about in my midweek video, where I talked about who is your one, who's that one person you can call when things get tough, when your life gets weighted down. And I started thinking about this vest. If we're being honest, just life in general, all of us are carrying around some weight of some kind, and that's just kind of like what I've got on right here. Most of the time you can go through life and it doesn't really bother you all that much. It's just kind of your everyday stressors, your everyday anxieties, and you're able to get through life pretty normally. But I want you to think about what you can do with a vest like this. Now, I don't have a lot of cool guy pouches or anything on this. I've got my first aid kit on here, and I actually took one thing off because I knew I was going for a run and I didn't want it to disrupt my running. But sometimes you'll see folks who have an IOTV and it's got pouches all over it on the front and down the front and over on the sides, and it's just like, whoa, how can you even function with all that stuff on there? In my mind, I'm going, how can you lay down on the ground or hold a rifle with all this stuff on there that's weighing you down and making it hard to move and making it hard for you to function? And if you think about it, that's a lot like what happens in our life. So we're carrying around just kind of the general stress of life, the weight. Most of the time it's manageable and we do okay. But then something happens. Like what I talked about on Wednesday, we had a flood in our kitchen. And so you add something on there. Maybe you add on a water bottle. You add on some weight. And, it's okay. It's kind of a little awkward. Your movement's disrupted a little bit. The vest has gotten a little heavier. But, you're okay. You can keep going. You can move on. You can keep functioning. But then something else happens. COVID happens. Well, shoot, that's a lot of stuff, right? And so you put something else on here and something else over here, and man, it's starting to get even heavier and it's more awkward. Maybe you put on some of the extra pieces, the extra armor that comes with these things, and all of a sudden your movement you're not able to function and move. You don't have that freedom and mobility that you would like. And it gets harder and harder to do basic functions. And then, in the end, you look at yourself and you don't just have just that vest on with the basic stressors of life. You've got a vest and you've got family responsibilities and financial responsibilities, and you've got school, and you've got the loss of a loved one. You've got all these different things on your vest, and you can't hardly move. You can't hardly function anymore. What do you do when you find yourself at that point? You're like, I can barely walk, let alone run in this thing. What do you do when you find yourself at that point? Well, on Wednesday I said one of the things you should do is you should talk to somebody. Call somebody. Who's your one that you can call and you can talk to when your life takes a turn for the worse? And now I want to tell you something else that you can do. The verse I want to read today, just one verse, well, actually two verses, 1 Peter 5, verses 6 and 7, says, "Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, so that he may exalt you at the proper time, casting all your cares on him, because he cares about you." Some translations say casting all your anxieties on him, because he cares about you. If we're being honest, we all have anxieties in our life. I have anxieties in my life right now. I'm wondering, when is my house going to be put back together after the flood that we had? And that's the anxiety on top of all the regular stuff, the job, the school, trying to homeschool with 4 kids, all these things. And you've got stuff in your own life as well. And they're just things that are added on to this vest. One of the things that I did when I was stressed out is I called some folks that are important to me and that I could vent to. And I texted some of my buddies who I knew would, empathize with what I was going through. But the other thing that I can do is I can pray. And the Bible says that God cares about us and our anxieties where we are at right now. So one of the things that I can do is I can take some of these things that I have on my vest that really are out of my control. Like, the reason my house flooded is because somebody messed up when they were doing some work on our house. That's why it flooded. It was out of my control. I can take that thing and I can go, it's in your hands now. Now, that doesn't mean that the stress magically disappears, but there's something symbolic about saying, you know what? I'm going to trust you. I'm going to trust that you have got this, that you are in control. And so what are those things in your life right now? The first thing I would tell you to do is don't keep it to yourself. Talk to somebody. Who's your one? Call them. Come talk to me. And then pray about it. Because God is here with you through that weight, through that anxiety, and He cares for you and everything that you are going through right now. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a good weekend. I hope if you're carrying around some extra weight in life that you can take a knee this weekend and maybe take some of those things off for a little bit. I'm going to try to do that. We'll see what happens. I'll see you next week. Go in peace.